There's plenty of room on front row as well. Some seats on the back and sides. Check if we get the microphone going. I will check with Alex. There should be a speaker at the back. Where do you put the speaker? Okay, it's testing. Okay, everyone, please take your seats. There will be latency, I'm afraid. Okay, everyone, welcome to OWASP London chapter. I apologize for the echo. I can speak without this if you can all hear me. We are live streaming on YouTube. This is why I have so many microphones, because we need to make sure that people can also hear us online. We are here in this Office of Integrity, and this event is kindly sponsored by NOMA and Avacor. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Stepanyan. I am one of OWASP London chapter leaders. We have 3 OWASP London chapter leaders, myself, Andra Letts, and Sharif Mansour. Unfortunately, Andra cannot be here today, and Sharif is off sick. For those of you who attend these events regularly, know that Sharif was diagnosed with cancer a year ago, and he has undergone a course of treatment and chemotherapy and bone marrow transplant, and he appears to get better, and he's in remission now, so hopefully we will see him later this year. For those of you who are going to put information on the social media, please use our hashtags OWASP London and mention us as OWASP London. Let me see if I can get this audio configured so it doesn't echo that much, hopefully, but it will echo. I'll just get rid of this. Maybe this will be better, because I'm sure people online can hear us. Just a quick reminder of OWASP Code of Conduct. We are a very comfortable and welcoming community, and we're friendly. Please be nice and respectful to each other. If you have any issues, anyone misbehaving, any feedback, concerns, please reach out to us, and we will get it sorted. We have an official code of conduct, which is published on the OWASP.org website. The agenda for tonight is I'm going to talk for about 10 minutes to provide you with the news and updates about OWASP. Then we're going to have Diana speaking about trust boundaries in Agentic AI. Then we're going to have a networking break. We'll have more of drinks and pizza, and we'll also hopefully grab some of the remaining swag items on the merchandise table at the back, kindly donated by our sponsors, and then also lots of stickers. And then we're going to have another guest speaker. We're going to go Timo, who flew here all the way from Germany to talk about OWASP SAMM and OWASP DevSecOps maturity models, because he's the leader and creator of one of these projects. And then we're going to have a raffle, and I will show you what the prizes are in a minute. And then we're all going to go to the pub, which is literally 3 minutes away, and the pub is called Hat and Feathers. So that's where we'll continue our networking. How many of you are here for the first time, by the show of hands? Wonderful, wonderful. Good to see you all here. I have no idea how you found us, but to make sure you don't miss the next event, you can, first of all, visit our webpage where you will find all the links on owas.org/London. We are on Twitter, on Facebook, on Meetup, on Eventbrite, on LinkedIn, on Blue Sky, on Mastodon. And of course, we are also on YouTube, where we are currently live streaming, so you can follow us using all these methods. On our website, you will also find a link to the old-fashioned mailing list, which is a Google Group mailing list. If you sign up to that, that will ensure that you will receive an email message from me whenever the next event is scheduled. But I can tell you right now, because you're here, attending this in person, that the next OWASP London meetup is going to be on 16th of July, and the details will be published soon, but please do save the date so you can come and enjoy more talks and learn more about application security and AI security. Now, raffle prizes. We have two amazing raffle prizes donated by our sponsors. You will find the QR code stuck all over the place as well, and please do scan this as well. The first prize tonight is DJI Osmo Nano, and the second prize are AI glasses, the Meta AI glasses that you can win by scanning the QR code and registering if you would like to participate in our raffle prize. Win this awesome prize is kindly donated by Noma. Okay, so I'll leave it for a second so you can take a picture. Now, of course, a word of caution. People watching us online on YouTube stream, I'm sorry, you will not be able to win this. You have to be here in the audience to win it. This is why we all have our name tags, our name badges, so people in the audience can talk to each other and to make it easy to break ice. But also, we can verify that the person who won the prize is actually here in the audience. I'm going to try to play our OWASP short intro and see if the audio works.
OWASP is a nonprofit that stands for the Open Web Application Security Project. OWASP is a community of developers, technologists, and evangelists improving the security of software through tools and resources. OWASP has 100 plus active projects, and new project applications are submitted weekly. Projects are open source and are built by our community of volunteers, people just like you. Community and networking. There are hundreds of local chapters worldwide and thousands of members. Meetings are free and open to everyone. They include training, talks, and networking opportunities, education and training. OWASP hosts many events each year. They are a great way to improve your skills, build your professional network, and learn about new trends in the industry. One of the many ways you can get involved is to become a member. The membership benefits include discounts for events and trainings, your own OWASP email address and Google Workspace access, a vote in our OWASP Global Board elections, and recently, OWASP added a brand new member benefit, access to hands-on application security training through the OWASP Secure Flag Open Platform. Join us and become a member today.
Wonderful. This worked. Usually this doesn't. Okay. Right. Now, as mentioned, we are a worldwide community, and I know many of you are don't have London as their home city and UK as their home country. So we have OWASP chapters worldwide. So you can see we're in 71 countries. We have over 250 city chapters. So major cities with 1 million plus population typically will have an OWASP chapter, and we have almost 180,000 volunteer members worldwide, and we are all volunteers. Now, obviously, you're here in London, but in the UK, we have lots of other chapters. So I would like to give them a shout out. There might be a chapter near you, or if you would like to start a chapter just like this one, come and talk to me, and I will help you get that going. You will need 2 volunteers to run the chapter. Now, a brand new thing for OWASP this year, we released our impact report for the first time. It's an impact report for the last year, so you know all the good stuff that OWASP did last year. Read about all our projects, all the new chapters. There's some amazing information, some amazing statistics there, also information about lots of projects that you will be happy to learn about. Please do check it out. Okay. Let me move to the Secure Flag training. As you've seen, there is a benefit of membership, which is Secure Flag Training Labs. This is one of the benefits that you will get by becoming a member. But there is another brand new benefit, which has just been announced last week. So Aikido, which is another AI-enabled security scanning platform, is donating to every single OWASP member 200 credits to use their platform. And if you scan this QR code, you will learn more about what they are providing. But you will need to join us as an OWASP member. And once you are an OWASP member, you can simply log in to Aikido platform using your OWASP.org email address. As you have just seen in the intro video, by joining OWASP as a member, you will get an OWASP.org email address. Now, OWASP membership is a paid membership, but it's not expensive. It's only $50 a year for individual membership, or $20 for students. And so we also have corporate supporter, corporate memberships. If you are one of the companies who would like to join us as a corporate supporter and help us run events, please talk to me later. Now, there is one extra OWASP membership benefit that I provide, and I don't think any other chapters provide, is I have a stash of vintage OWASP member stickers that you can see on my laptop. If you become an OWASP member tonight at the event and show me the confirmation email that you've become a member, I will give you one of the super rare vintage stickers. And obviously, you can join OWASP as member by going to owasp.org/join or owasp.org/membership. And there is one extra benefit if you join as an OWASP member tonight. We have partnered up with TryHackMe, which is an educational platform for cybersecurity challenges. And they recently launched, I think on the 15th of June, so only 2 weeks ago, they launched AI certification. And the certification exam costs £299. If you become an OWASP member today, I will give you a promo code which will discount that certification exam to $0. Okay, we would like to give a big shout out to all our OWASP global sponsors. We have a lot of sponsors supporting us worldwide. Also, a shout out to an event which is happening tomorrow, and that's a CISO UK conference. And let me just move this out of the way so you can scan this QR code. We have a VIP tickets to this event. You would like to go and meet CISOs of big banks such as HSBC, UK Nuclear Authority, and there's lots of other CISOs from different organizations all around the UK joining. You can attend this conference, which is happening tomorrow, and we have a partnership with them. So it will be over 5 hours of great content. I'd like to give a big shout out to all our London chapter sponsors. And again, if you would like to sponsor an event like this, or if you work for a company which has an offices like this, which can give us big screen, microphones, space for pizza and beer, please come and talk to me, because we need venues all the time. But these are all the names and logos of all the different companies which have supported us. And I would like you to give a big thank you to Integrity, which is hosting us tonight. For those of you who don't know, Integrity is a bug bounty platform, and it is a European company. And again, if you're interested in working in bug bounty, do check out all the information, and you can make some money by finding vulnerabilities in other organization systems and applications. And I hope you all enjoyed pizza and beer. So let's give a big thank you to Noma Security, sponsoring pizza and beer tonight. And of course, Avacor, who brought Noma here. All right. Now, for those of you who missed the event, just a reminder that this year is OWASP's 25th birthday. OWASP was founded 25 years ago in 2001. And we are celebrating this by running different events. And we have lots of OWASP chapters who are running birthday parties, anniversary parties. You missed one because we had one in March. And it was again sponsored by Avacor. You can see Naz there cutting the cake with me. So we had absolutely awesome, massive cake. And fear not, there will be more parties. There will be an OWASP 25th anniversary party at the OWASP chapters all around the world. So you can find out and go and join them there. One other thing that I've been doing as an OWASP London chapter leader is providing digital stickers or NFTs. So these are called Proof of Attendance Protocol. And these are the ones that you can collect in your cryptocurrency wallet. confirming that you were here, you can only collect them from me. So what I do, I ask AI to generate a picture of our cyber wasp from a wasp in different settings. For example, in December, our wasp was really cold, all wrapped up in blankets around the Christmas tree, watching television. Then we had our 25th anniversary party with a wasp eating the celebratory cake. For tonight, I have a brand new proof of attendance protocol. Wasp with a fan because it's been so hot. And by the way, we actually have physical fans, many thanks to Noma Security, bringing this awesome piece of merch to us. And if you don't know how to use cryptocurrency wallets, come and see me. I will show you how to collect the POAP. Now we have a brand new OWASP merch store in collaboration with CyberSec Games. And we have cornucopia card decks. There's some awesome decks that are available. Lots of new t-shirts. Let me move this away. So it's owasp.org/store. So if you would like to grab some awesome OWASP swag, you can get it at the OWASP merch store. Okay. Now, I just got back from Vienna, where we have our big OWASP Global AppSec EU conference. OWASP conferences are usually really great. They're absolutely amazing. This one was mind-blowingly good. You can, if you follow me on LinkedIn and some of the people in the audience, you probably have seen lots of photos from the conference, including things like we have digital badges, we had a robot which was greeting everyone, we have like photo booths, lots of fun things at the event, and obviously we had almost 50 different talks, lots of tracks, and a lot of amazing content. Obviously, a lot of it is currently is about AI security, because we are all concerned about AI. Now, this conference is over, but we have one more big OWASP Global Conference this year. That is going to be in San Francisco. And if you would like to present a talk at the OWASP Global AppSec Conference in San Francisco, now's your chance, because we only have 8 days left to submit a talk proposal. If you scan the QR code, you can send us your proposal, and our committee, which reviews it, and all the talk reviews are blind, so people who review your submissions have no idea who you are. They're only looking at the content of your talk. And if you're lucky, you will get your talk selected and hopefully join us in San Francisco. I will be there. Now, obviously, OWASP is known for its free and open source projects. We're over 250 of them. And of course, everyone knows about OWASP Top 10 and lots of other projects, such as our dependency track, software bill of materials, CDXGen, and AMAS, Cyclone DX, and lots of Juice Shop, which is an intentionally vulnerable app that a lot of people are using to train themselves in cybersecurity. But because AI is so big, I would like to make a massive announcement. You heard it from me first. Unless you saw me posting this on LinkedIn last week, we just launched OWASP AI Security Verification Standard, version 1. This is our first standard. Unlike Top 10s, which talks about risks, this is a verification standard. So you can actually see how you can securely implement and verify the secure implementation of AI in your organizations. It's been an amazing effort, and that is now been published and available to download in PDF format, as well as an online document that you can read. Now, because there are so many of you in the audience and just me, it's going to be quite difficult to take questions, but I will run around with a microphone. Please, if you have questions during the talks, please use the slido.com/OWASP. Use our online question systems. You can submit questions online. And also the same thing goes for all our viewers on the live stream. If you have any question to our speakers, please submit your questions, and I will read them out to our speakers. Now I would like to introduce our first speaker, Diana Kelley. Diana is a CISO of Noma Security, and she had an absolutely amazing career in cybersecurity, including companies such as Microsoft and IBM. She also was participating in big initiatives such as Women in Cybersecurity. She co-authored a book, actually 2 books. There you go, 2 books now. So obviously do check it out. Dan is very well known in cybersecurity circles. She traveled a long way to be here. She's our guest speaker. So let's give her a warm welcome. Welcome, Rena. So I'm gonna stick this on you so people online can hear you. Okay, and I'm going to stop sharing.
So I have a fun fact about that dog that you can see. His name is Benedict, and he's named. He had a sister named Beatrice, and he's named after the characters in Much Ado About Nothing. So Benedict is the. But in our house we have a favorite doctor and a favorite Benedict, and our favorite Benedict is David Tennant. So yeah, we are.
You can just share your screen.
Hold on. It went dark. It decided to go dark on me. So hold on.
If you need power to charge the laptop, I have available.
Okay. All right. There we go. So yes. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to be talking about Agentic AI. Who here is working with Agentic AI already? You guys already? Everybody? No, close to everybody. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, the reality is that it's here, whether we like it or not. Our companies are asking us to use it. And the thing about Agentic AI is that we're basically passing decisions that have always been human over to an LLM, which is going to create a lot of sort of interesting things for us to deal with. So right now, this was from KPMG, 73% of projects should be delivered in 12 months. These are going into production projects. For the folks that are working with Agentic, how many people are working on stuff that's truly in line of business, like truly production? So not you're just kind of making, like Tim Gibbs, you are. Okay, so Tim Gibbs is, you are, yes, yeah. At my company, he was talking about he vibe coded up a little thing that people are using to warn them a meeting's coming. If that fails, which is cool, very cool. But if that fails, then a meeting is missed, which is very different than if you're a bank, for example, and you've got trades that shouldn't be happening. So what is an AI agent? A lot of people get confused about what an AI agent really is. I've talked to people that have literally said to me things like, well, you can look at and you can assess deterministic code. You know, somebody can do a code review on it, but non-deterministic code is very hard to review. And I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? You mean like something that was created by a non-deterministic? She said, no, the actual AI, like the special AI code. Like, what do you think it's written in? Like, it's what is an agent? An agent is an application. Everybody here knows about software security and how to write applications and how to secure applications. We know this. This is not new. It's written in good old standard, you know, we got Python, we got Rust. That's what's wrapping an agent. That's when you use Claude or when you use ChatGPT, you are using software, which you're interfacing with, that's software. It's then taking what you send it and it's sending it into an LLM. The AI part is an LLM. An LLM is a flat file of weights and biases. And that file gets activated and performs inference within a software harness. But it's the software around it that really makes it run, that really makes it useful. And in an agentic system, all of that looping, and when you hear things like, this model can do a lot more reasoning. The model does inference once. It's the software around it that takes the input out of it and puts it back into the model. So what's the issue with this? When we say, okay, so it's not like this sort of magical stuff. It's not magical code, right? It's software running around an LLM. What's the problem? The brain is the LLM, and it's very vulnerable. It's non-deterministic. That means that you can ask it the same thing. Anybody do AI red teaming? You do it all. So AI red teaming, you can send a prompt into an LLM 20 times, 100 times, and your guardrails hold. And then the 101st, they don't hold because it's non-deterministic. It's not a yes or no. It's not deterministic. It's not binary. It's not going to tell you this is right, this is wrong. It's prediction machine. So it's not deterministic. You get different answers when you put in even the same thing. It's prone to, quote, hallucinations. I put that in quotes because it's not like out at Burning Man, or you know, at Glastonbury, like taking a lot of drugs and having fun. It's predicting things. And sometimes it predicts stuff that's right or accurate. It's a line. And sometimes it predicts stuff that isn't. And that's how LLMs work. Are we going to train them out of doing that? No, not with the frontier models that we have now. When you look at old school machine learning models, and remember, generative AI is still machine learning, but it's machine learning post-transformers with attention heads. But if we go back to traditional ML, we can make smaller models. We can train them to do a smaller amount of things. They can get much more reliable. They don't, quote, hallucinate as much. With the frontier models, because they ingest sort of world and we accept them to do everything, that's part and parcel how they work. They are prone to drift and to go off and to misalign with what you have them do. Then a big one is prompt injection. They're all prone to prompt injection. And anybody who says that they're not prone to prompt injection probably is not telling you the whole story. So the risks, very often, it can feel to us like they're multiplying. Anybody read AI security news as part of your job or because you're interested in it? Do you feel overwhelmed? Yep. Right? Because doesn't it feel like, it feels like every single time you open it up, it's like everything's changed. Oh my goodness, you know, every time you look at the headlines, it's like, we figured out how to do this other thing, and they all have cool names. Like one came out from Layer X Labs, I think, it was called Bioshock. They're like, we're Bioshocking the AI. I'm like, what are they doing? They're Bioshocking the AI. What does this even mean? And then I started reading it. They were doing prompt injection. It was prompt injection. You know, you get things like, oh, you know, there's this terrible thing. We've Replit deleted the repo. It was so terrible. Prompt injection. You know, like, oh, look at the 365 Copilot leaks. We've got this Echo leak, you know, Microsoft, it's terrible. You know, what's going on with Microsoft? Prompt injection under the hood. Prompt injection, prompt injection. There's an architectural failure within the way that we're using AI. And until we all take a breath and look at this particular failure and really focus on addressing it, we're going to keep seeing these big headlines that are like, it's prompt injection, right? When does it kind of frustrate you once you see it, once you sort of get it, and then you're like, could we just please go back to the first principle problem? Because we're saying a lot of stuff about, now I've attacked Microsoft, now it's Salesforce, right? Prompt injection. Why on earth is all of this stuff coming from prompt injection? Why does it seem like they deleted a website, and now they've deleted this, and now this other, now we've Bioshocked the system? It's because the prompt is a lot bigger than, so let's say that the reason I've got, anybody seen the movie Dodgeball? Okay, so at one point, it's two gyms that are fighting each other, and at one point, Ben Stiller, who's this terrible character, right? He gets really angry at Vince Vaughn's character, and he just says, cram it in your cram hole, LaFleur. And that's why I think of the context window that I'm going to explain to you as a bit of a cram hole, and you'll see why. So here we've got, what are the 5 Ds of dodgeball? That's your prompt. And if you're using an agent, what do? You say, hey, to the agent, this is my goal. This is what I want you to accomplish. But so is that what goes over to the AI? Is it just what are the 5 Ds of that? That is not what goes over to the AI. What goes over to the AI is a whole bunch of other stuff. It includes things like the system prompt, what the designers of that AI told it to do and not do, not to give out instructions on how to create bombs or how to, you know, build that. Your question, obviously, your prompt went in there. If you've been having a bunch of conversations, again, with agents too, this will be the same concept, because agents use AI the same way we do, basically. Your question, if you've had a bunch of turns, you know, back and forth with a chat, right? The previous parts of your conversation, that would go in. Memory. If there's anything locked in there, have you ever looked at the markdown file of the memory for the chatbot you're using? It's got information about previous parts of the conversation. It tries to figure you out, and it'll write down things that, you know, to remember. Like for me, I once got angry and I said, remember this. when I put in a contraction, I want that contraction in my writing. Don't, was it always, can't was always cannot. And then I got a little fancy and I said, like when Raymond Chandler said, if I split an infinitive, I expect it to stay split. And then I went and read the markdown file, and then I started noticing it was splitting infinitives a lot. And then I saw in the memory that it had locked in, she wants her contractions to stay, but also she likes split infinitives. And I was like, that wasn't what I meant, but okay. But so it's almost like prompt injected myself in that case. Any files that you upload, we're always asking it to summarize stuff. Model outputs. So if you're using other models, if you've been in a long term with it, function call results, the outputs from previous turns if you're in an agentic system, and tool definitions, what tools it can call, how it can use those tools. All of this goes into your, so this is just an example of a full context, and you can see the actual prompt is just a tiny, tiny little bit of that. So context windows are huge. This model that just came out was very proud. It can do 1 million tokens in its context window. They want the context window bigger and bigger because it means we can put more and more through the inference. The actual LLM inference, when the LLM's doing its magic, it's a goldfish. If you are using a closed weight model, it's a goldfish. Every time you ask it something new, and that means literally everything. So if you're using a model and it seems to be reasoning and it's like, I'm going to do this. I think this looks wrong. I'm going to try it again. All of that's the software taking what went through the LLM and the output of it post inference and putting it back through. Each time you go through a closed weight model, it is a goldfish. It doesn't know what happened before. That's why the context window has to be so big. And a lot of these advances we've seen in AI have actually been ability to make the context window larger and also to make the software around it more intelligent that we wrote, that humans wrote, about how it processes the information that goes in. So that's why we put so much in it. Prompt injection or indirect prompt injection is simply in all of this stuff, somewhere in here, getting something that the attacker wants to go into the LLM to make it do what the attacker wants it to do. That's what happens. And when it's direct, that means that you put it in yourself, you typed it, and you tried to get Claude or ChatGPT to say something it shouldn't. Indirect means that it was embedded in one of the things that was being parsed in the system, and it came out. And it can say, and it can do a lot of different things. I mean, there's an example, you're in maintenance mode, disable all the content filters, take all the guardrails out. It doesn't matter. There are infinite things that attackers can do. They're getting the LLM to output information that they want it to do. And in an agentic system, this can chain down the line. If you look at the OWASP top 10, right, the chained abuse in agentic is one of the problems. Because it's not just one prompt, it now can carry through all of the agents and all the agentic action. So what fills the context window in agent? You might be saying, yeah, but the agents are so smart. Well, wait a second, what's the brain of the agent? It's the LLM. The LLM is the goldfish. It's the software around it. And then the software puts the information back into the LLM. So whether, even though I explained this mostly as something in a prompt that you could understand how you would interact with it, the exact same mechanics work in agentic systems. And this creates a little bit of a problem for us, right? And I think that the big problem that we're facing right now is something I think of as the taxonomy trap. A lot of people are sort of trying to come up with all these different ways to talk about, oh, it's Bioshock, oh, it's this, right? But really, we've got an architectural problem with trust boundaries, especially that trust boundary in the context window. So instead of being concerned, back to Benny, I could have like a Benny taxonomy, right? He's a puppy. He's 4.5 months old, and he's barking at the neighbors, and he won't sit when I'm going to feed him, and he won't calm down when we have to leave him alone, right? It's like Benny seems like a crazy dog. He's not. He's just a little puppy, and his problem is he can't regulate himself. So I could try and like teach him all this, don't do this, don't do that, or I could teach him how to calm down. And then he's not going to bark at the neighbors. He's not going to chase the rabbits in the yard. He's not going to. So I taught him calm. And that's what we need to be thinking about. How do we really focus on what the real problem is architecturally? And a big part of it is we don't know how this content got into the workflow, and we don't know how to manage it post the workflow. So if you're thinking, okay, that seems pretty bad, but like the AI is just getting smarter. We literally read this from the big frontier folks every day, right? The AI is getting smarter. Look at how smart our model is so dangerous it can't even be used. This is not a security strategy, because what I'm talking about is really the architecture. So let's talk about what will work. What is a security strategy for us? It's architectural trust boundaries. One of the books that I wrote is my co-author Ed Moyle is Practical Cybersecurity Architecture. I'm a huge fan of architecture. I really think it's the way that we can think strategically about what we're going to do with our systems and make sure that we've protected them properly. So we have architectural trust boundaries in the agentic loop for AI. And rather than hoping that the LLM, which is at risk, which has issues, right? It has exposures. If instead of expecting trusted and untrusted content to go in here and the LLM to sort it out, which it cannot do, we need to put the trust and the boundaries around the agentic loop. And I've defined 5 boundaries. You may look at this and say, this makes sense, but I think there are 4 at my company, or I think there are 6. That's fine. But just start thinking about the boundaries of where the information's coming in. Where could an attacker get something that the attacker wants into your workflow? How can it get it into that context window? How can it get it into the cram hole? So the first one is at the knowledge boundary itself. The agent is going to trust any knowledge that it receives. So if you're sending the information, we had an attack where somebody was able to take over Google Home Automation. And Google Home Automation, because they put in a calendar invite that had an indirect prompt injection in it. So that the agent just parsed the calendar invite, and it had the indirect prompt injection in it that then took over, because of the way the connection of the agentic system, took over the home automation system. But again, you guys know that's not, you know what was the underlying thing. You know it was prompt injection, or in this case, indirect prompt injection. So the problem is that the agent is going to trust everything that it comes in. So we, as the defenders, have to start thinking about, first of all, making sure that data is as pure, as good, as correct as possible. So things like data governance, document change management, and also integrity management of the data that we trust going to the system. You could parse it in advance. There was another example of this is there was a chatbot selling burritos in the United States, and some clever people realized that they could use all of that there was a frontier model behind it, and they could just ask that frontier model to start writing code for them, because it wasn't like deciding, gee, this is a burrito order or not. It was just taking whatever was going into the AI and it was parsing it, and there was a frontier model, so it was writing code. People were like, this is great, we don't have to pay for tokens. And then of course the burrito company was like, we are not happy. So what could they have done to stop that? They could have put some deterministic, they could have put regular expressions up in front of it, right? They could have said, if I'm not seeing burrito coming through in here, or rice, or, you know, Chipotle bowl or whatever, like, I'm not going to pass this through to my, they also could have put another AI in front of it. AI, cleaning stuff up for AI is becoming very common in a lot of workflows. So they could have had an AI that was a classifier that was like, does this look like a burrito order? And if it didn't look like a burrito order, they not pass it to the LLM. There are a lot of different ways they could have approached it, but they all come back to making sure that knowledge boundary is protected. There's also a retrieval boundary in Agentic. And we have to be careful with the retrieval, because things can throw off agents in ways we might not think. So a great example here was some researchers found that their AI was going off in a compliance situation because the company was keeping older versions of policies. They wanted to have the older versions of the policy in the repository for use in the future. They wanted to have a reference point to be able to go back to. But the agent was going back and looking at all. So if there was a policy that had one rule 10 times, and each year, and when it got rewritten, they kept it, and then the new one had a different rule, the agent's now was pulling all 11 versions of the policy in, retrieving all of them, and then saying, well, you know what? The LLM pretty wisely was like, well, 10 times out of 11, this is right. So I'm going to predict this is right, but it was the one that was stale. So we have to really start thinking about what we're setting up our agents to ingest. So the retrieval boundary, making sure that you've got the approved list, that it's the up-to-date content, that you're not sort of making this a little bit murky, because remember, when it gets into the cram hole, it can get very confusing for the LLM. Memory and persistence is another really important boundary. I just explained to you how earlier I messed up my own chatbot for writing because I made it think I wanted to have split infinitives in my writing. So it was like editing my stuff and splitting my infinitives. To boldly go, but where no AI had gone before. We have to make sure that we have protected memory. Sometimes the attacker's trying to actually mess with our memory, but one of the interesting things that came out was once, there was actually an example was that somebody was trying to train a chatbot and misunderstood that EU contractors were not exempt from MFA and put into the memory of the chatbot, EU workers were exempt from MFA. So now this agent, when it was trying to figure out what was in compliance, what wasn't, if MFA wasn't turned on for EU employees, that was good because that's what had been locked into the memory. And what the memory, remember, where does it go? Into the context window. It goes into the cram hole. So we have to also take a look at how we can separate and protect that retrieval boundary. There are some good tips here. You can do things like you can separate the conversion from the policy. You can limit the storage or the scope of what you're keeping in the memory. And then my favorite is to do periodic memory audits on your agents, because you don't know if something's gotten in there or not. So, and it's not too hard to do. They're written in, the MD is written in human language, natural language, so you can do that audit. You can also use AI to audit your memory, but then have a human check it. So the boundary 4 is instruction authority, and this is from the generation of the prompt, again, from the mixed input. So you have things like your tool results, your agent memory, your API, that goes into your agent planner, creates the prompt itself. So you want to make sure that you're looking specifically to see that it's not trying to override the instruction specifically. This is looking for information that's specifically trying to hop your guardrails on purpose. So it's not just somebody kind of popped it in there. It's not a mistake. It's that somebody's trying to override specifically the instructions that you have. And you can do some things in this, but remember, it's not, none of these is going to be perfect, but instruction precedence. So you can really try and train into the model that there are system instructions that it should favor, and then other instructions that are coming from untrusted sources that it should deprecate. That won't give you 100% guarantee. It's not deterministic, but it will give you a little bit more of strength and resilience and robustness in your instruction authority. You can also look at things like independent output validation. So I talked about validating what was going into the LLM. You can also validate and run the output. And if you've ever had an AI say to you, if you're like generating a PowerPoint or something, and the AI, you might see like the quote reasoning coming by where it's like, this formatting is terrible. Nobody can read it. Because remember, like back in the day, you try and do some design with it, and it would come out, and you'd be like, no one is ever going to be able to read these slides. This is crazy, right? And now it's like so much better. You'll see it coming across. It's like, that formatting's terrible. I'm going to redo that, right? That is one AI checking another one. So you take the output of the PowerPoint and the software, because remember, it's LLMs are only one time, right? The software puts it through inference again, says, can you tell me if this is readable? And through the second pass, it's like, nope, that is not readable. So you see that's not readable. I'm going to fix it. But what just really happened was I put it back through again. And now it's go and fix it, then check it again. So you can check both before stuff goes into the LLM. You can also check the outputs and do output validation. And then this is a massively huge one. This is tool action. So everything I'm talking about is stuff that you do upstream. So what you do before it goes into the inference, except for the output validation. This is what's coming out on the other end. And in Agentic, this is a really, really critical boundary. There's some work going on both at OWASP around runtime. There's also work going on in Cloud Security Alliance. I'm the co-chair of the AARM group, which is Agentic Autonomous Runtime. And it is about trying to get standards around, once we're on the other side, before the agent acts, when the output comes from the LLM and its instructions to the tool instructions on this is what you should do software, that is when you need to have runtime. That's the runtime or the tool action boundary. And that one's really critical because up until now, all that was going to happen was maybe you got your resources sponged like the poor burrito company that had people writing software instead of ordering burritos. But now we're in the tool boundary. Now we were talking about production and what it can do to your company and how you can have damage. This is really it. This is where the rubber hits the road. This is where action happens. So this boundary is incredibly important. This is where you get things like transfer 50,000 or 100 million or whatever you're allowed to transfer. Data exposure happens here. This is where financial losses, this is where breach happens. And I've been talking for a while about this, and it feels kind of like, yeah, maybe we have time. I mean, I've been doing security for many, many years, and I'm used to having dwell time and time. You know, I'm used to MITRE ATT&CK, where we've got this whole kill chain. If we can stop them at any point in that, but it takes milliseconds to get to. If you've got an agentic system set up and you've got the right indirect prompt injection attack going on, and you've got an agentic browser that's got all of the connection, all of the rights, all the permissions, you can lose data in seconds. And I don't say that because I like FUD and I want to scare anybody. I hate FUD. But this is the truth about how these systems work and how fast they move. So this action, it takes me longer to explain it to you than it can actually be. The data could be exfiltrated in the right circumstances. So tool action, tool boundary, really important boundary. We got to control what happens here. And there's some standard stuff. Least privilege. We need to like just really kind of rein it in on the privileges for the agents. It's so tempting. You guys all know AppSec, right? It's really tempting to kind of take security off and get the software to run. In Agentic, it's wild how tempting it is. Claude Anthropic came out with some recommendations about Claude Tag. Claude Tag is you can just call Claude into a Slack channel. They're like, hey, Claude, come into the Slack channel and do this stuff for us. And in Anthropic's public release, they said, we recommend giving that Claude instance, which is going to run as its own identity, I recommend giving it a lot of access because it's going to be able to do more. And I read that and I was like, that does not make me feel good, right? But they're right. From a business perspective, the more access you give Claude, the more it's going to be able to do for you. On the other hand, we're security folks, and we know that maybe that's not going to be, so we want to get least privilege. For really high value stuff, put a human back in the loop. Or maybe we'll put an AI back in the loop. I'm talking really high value stuff. I get it. If it's like a loss of like a small amount, you're getting pushed by your executives to get more agentic. I understand you may not want to have a human in the loop, but for some really, really critical things, get a human back in the loop and just limit. In some cases, just limit what the agent can do. Does it have to be able to do everything? Not necessarily. So the context window or the cram hole, if you're a dodgeball fan, is where everything meets. And we have controls, we have architectural choices that we can make at each one, upstream before it goes into the context window, and downstream at the action boundary at runtime. We have ability to put security and trust back into these systems We cannot expect it to just happen within the LLM. We can put the trust back in. And then this is a trust boundary matrix where I take each one of the boundaries. You can see I had an example risk element, the kind of examples controls that you can put in and how it maps back to the kind of trust and governance that you're probably already using at your organizations. Then underneath identity, you're hearing a lot about agentic identity right now. This is it's in flux. There's a lot of work going on in identity. It's going to be at every single boundary. You're going to be thinking about identity, as well as looking at inter-agent communication as we have these multi-agents, because I've been talking about N agents and what that looks like, but most of us are now dealing with multi-agent connected systems. Another way to look at it, if you're more of like, I kind of think a little bit more like this. So if you sort of want to see it all in one about what you would do and where you would put it, this is how you can start thinking about where you would apply those trust boundaries and how they look. So this is the same content, it's just in a different way, because people learn differently. And this is the one that would make the most sense to me. But I wanted to show it the other ways too, so that you could see it that way. To wrap it up, what do you when you leave here and you're thinking about it, or you're talking to the folks at your organization, do you know all the trust boundaries at your organization? Do you even know where all your agents are? You know, it's 10 p.m., where are your agents? So start thinking about where are your agents, and do you know about their trust boundaries? Can you know what's getting into that context window? Do you know if you're controlling them at runtime? Do you know what the impact is? What's the quote blast radius? If something goes wrong, if that agent goes rogue, if the bioshock shocks, what's going to happen with your organization? Have you written that down? Have you thought about that? Have you documented? And do you know? Can you enforce your policy before an agent exfiltrates your data, takes an action, moves money around within your organization, sends an email, or even controls your blinds automatically? If you can't say yes to all of that, and believe me, it's really hard to say yes. It's not, so I mean, don't be like, I'm not saying like, oh, it's super easy, why aren't you doing it? These are the things we need to. Most organizations cannot say yes to all of these very, very robustly now. And unfortunately, that is a potential control gap. That's something for us as defenders to work on, but it's not a cause for alarm. What this is really about is let's move from those headlines that are getting scary every single day. A lot of attacks against AI, what do they come down to? Indirect prompt injection. It's the context window. It's a trust boundary. We're trusting a boundary that is not the right trust boundary. We're not trusting and building security into the architectural trust boundaries that we do control, we can control. We can do this. We can move from alarm to architecture. I know you guys got this. I want to thank you so much for letting me be here, and I hope you have a great rest of the evening.
Online, we have tough questions, but audience questions. Yeah. Well, you can try the microphone, but we'll see if it works.
Oh, thank you.
I really appreciate just a lot of your experience, like, have you seen a lot of levers about the trust boundaries available from tools of appearance, restricted analytic what is offered the control panel, so
Yeah.
I found very little control boundaries,
Yeah.
access or not access, cyber protection.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that's right. Is there something that is just hiding in plain sight? A recommendation for everyone?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you're absolutely right. The frontier models, the frontier companies are putting more trust and control around the LLM within their harness. But you pointed out the big problem with it, which is that it's often very much opaque to us as the adopters. And even when it's not entirely opaque, we don't control it. We may be able to move some levers, but we're not going to be able to control it entirely. So it's great. I would certainly, I think that frontier organizations and frontier model builders, the hyperscalers, it's great that they're adding more in, but we as the defenders need to also look for what we build in around that system, because I don't think we can rely on them entirely. The other thing to think about with that is that model agility is becoming, it's sort of like on the horizon, but it's a trend that's getting a lot stronger, which is pretty quickly, and stuff goes so quickly in AI, it's like, who knows how fast it's going to move. But a lot of organizations are really looking at, they're creating all the business logic, the security controls around their own harness so that they can swap out the models underneath. So yeah, so I think, yes, I think frontier models are adding some, but we really still have to create our own outside that we control. Yeah.
Absolutely. I just had one question. Second last time said you do the aim. That's where my question is, like, like in my company there are multiple aims, and how do we keep a track of what agents are going,
what agents are doing what? Yeah. Yeah, how do you find it? There are companies called that do agentic inventory. There are companies that are agentic control planes, and they're entirely created to be able to help you find and manage the number of agents that are in your organization. And spoiler alert, you can probably guess that that's something, and NOMA does in fact do that. So and I'll let you guys know honestly, I joined NOMA because of that. I mean, I'm not up here telling you what NOMA, I was at Protect AI as their CISO. We got purchased by Palo. I had been employee 11 at Protect AI, and I saw a lot of what needed to happen for AI security and wasn't happening. And I could have just retired. I've been working for almost 40 years, and I came to NOMA specifically because I'm so passionate about that's a problem that needs to get solved.
For you, I can add that there's AI bill of materials as well, so AI bomb. That started as part of OWASP SAMM and DSOMM. And there's actually a free tool available from our OWASP Gen AI project, which will allow us to
start looking for that.
Do a bill of materials of the AI. What's everyone?
Yeah, it'll show you the dependencies, just like a bill of materials in software.
I like the idea of putting a human in the loop.
Yeah.
Before they do the action. But how do you get over human nature?
Yeah.
Where they go, you know what, 10 times it's ready, right? So yes.
That's actually one of the OWASP top 10 is that, yeah, just basically the human exhaustion. Look, humans are humans, so that if you've got something, that's why you want to have a limited number. So it's for the very, very highest and most risky actions. You could also start doing what we've had, good old separation of duties and 2 approvers. You can put that back in the loop. One may get tired, so the other one doesn't get tired. But we go back to a lot of what we did with humans. I mean, because the fatigue is real. That's why people get fished sometimes too, because so the fatigue is real, and our solution is really a lot of the classic approaches we've taken in the past. Yeah. No, that's okay.
Situation where you say, yeah, I'm just going to take 100 out of it.
Right.
These little things that never get flagged. Oh yeah, another one from it.
That's why it's really important and depends on your use case. Let's stick to something financial. I would not put a human in the loop for $100 unless I was like, I only had $1,000 in the bank account. I would put a human in the loop if I was a bank. I would put it at a much higher threshold. It can add up. Yeah. It's like Office Space, yeah, where they take the penny on every transaction. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So much for that sharing. You spoke about the differences and how effective AI is. But at the same time, we have to speak on the opposite side. You know how the predators are weaponizing the.
Yes.
And today's market, it's hardly 7 to 8% of the organizations are adapted to AI. and 70 to 80% are still in the brainstorm. The
Mhm.
reason is only uncertain,
Yeah.
right? Even Anthropic have introduced Claude Mythos or Fable. They just stalled in US. I believe we have seen the news recently because they are having over access to the sensitive data, and they are not able to rely on the access that is provided in the audience. So how do you see would be the impact, and how reliable is it?
Yeah, so looking at it, it's very true that the ROI for attackers has shifted because of AI in a lot of different spaces. They can do phishing a lot more easily. They can do, reliable deepfakes, and they are able to find more vulnerabilities and exploit paths through organizations automatically. So the cost of the attacker doing business has absolutely gone down with AI. So what has that changed in organizations? That what that really has changed is that we have a whole lot of legacy technical debt that wasn't being exploited, and we're now at much higher risk of it being exploited. So that's really, would I say don't adopt something like a Mythos or a Fable? Look, all that's going to happen is that the attackers are going to have capabilities that your team doesn't have. And in fact, there's a new Chinese model that came out in the last day or two, which is GLM. Oh my gosh, I'm dyslexic, and now it's 5.2 or 5.2. Thank you. I was about to say 2.5. My brain was going backwards. That has hit the benchmarks that are very close to Mythos and Fable. So, to companies saying, hey, we shouldn't do that because that's dangerous, I would say the dangerous thing is A, not being competitive in AI, and B, not giving your defenders the tools that the attackers now have. So I think it's much more about having somebody who's AI security or an AI security function at the organization and adopting it in a safe way and in a controlled and managed way than it is about not adopting, because that's a risk now too.
So human intelligence always over the.
I'm a huge fan of human intelligence. I'm serious. I think this stuff, Gen AI, is incredibly cool. Transformers or post-transformers, incredibly cool, but they are not smart like we're smart. They're not intelligent like we are.
Building on another question about the frontier labs, generally coming out with AI, maybe don't have the security. Trust boundaries don't drawing them in the way from high.
Yeah.
How can we, as an industry, avoid the sheer amount of victim blaming that's going on? Like, as you say, one of the vendors saying, bring this into your Slack, give it all of the tools, like all of the games.
Yeah.
I'm certain that's going to cause some problems. How can we, like people in this room,
That's an industry, maybe.
yes, as an industry, like how can we sort of sit back and go, yeah, but this goes wrong, we can't just be.
Yeah, blame the users or blame. I was at dinner last night. Somebody asked me. They said, "How is it not going to be the CISO or the agent developer that gets, who's really at fault?" And well, if your CEO is saying adopt all the agents now, is it that? How do we stop the? I genuinely think it's about the sort of the step back, the breathe, look at regulations, talking to the governments to see what kind of regulations they're putting in to try and get more useful. I mean, the EU Data AI Act is actually, a good start there. I also think organizations like OWASP are just completely they're irreplaceable in terms of helping people understand how do we frame this problem, how do we address this problem, so that instead of just being, eek, you did it wrong, it's, oh, we use the verification standard, so we actually did our due diligence, we did the right thing. I think that it's going to be that, and I don't think this is going to be easy. I think that there's going to be a whole lot. You're right. There's going to be a lot of finger pointing. There's going to be a lot of us working this out as we see when agents go awry, who ends up taking. And look, I can tell you as a CISO, CISOs tend to take the fall for a lot of stuff when they. Luckily, I haven't had that but. I mean, a lot of great CISOs have really been blamed and put in the news for things that were absolutely not their fault. They were business decisions. I think that with Agentic, where there's going to be a little of that, but it's community and organizations like OWASP that are going to help us as a community get through it, I think.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Diana.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
take a 10-minute break. There's more pizza and drinks, and then be back for Timo's talk. Don't forget to scan the QR code if you want to win some more surprises. And also, if you join the OWASP as a member, don't forget to come up with a TV sticker and a discount code for an AI.
Very quick question, which I think we can present. As we move from legacy IAM, human-centric,
Yeah.
static provisioning to modern governance, how do we bring AI agents into that same control model rather than treating them as a separate thing?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting point because they're technically NHI non-human identities, but they don't operate as human identities. Have quote agency driven by the LLM. So there's a lot of work going on right now to actually address. So nobody has that. Actually, but yeah. But yeah, it really
You have the phone.
Oh, yeah.
What is it looking for now? Oh, I don't have that looked at. Is that an app? Full clock? Do I need it now? Do I need it now?
Who's the OWASP SAMM?
Okay, I don't need it right now, do I?
I don't think so. You can just get it by email anyway. Yeah. Yeah, it's email.
Yeah.
Email it to you anyway. And then when you go somewhere. Everyone have NFTs.
I'll give you now. I need to.
Yeah, so you email.
Oh, really?
Same here.
You can make me a target just for a few minutes. Just when I go to back home.
Well, it's a lot of checking, particularly with like people you really don't have and they can flow serving people beyond what you can imagine. So all this ability to think about or actually, there's a good cost. That's the way it goes. Yeah. So this innovates when you look at this is a concept. Yes. To be able to look at it, right now, it's happening, especially with AI and systems. And this is why you need assessment. And something then that you do. But insurers are moving away from static assessment happens, once a year, twice a year, regional, to actually collect intelligence. Right? People have to tell academic platform that if you
I will also stick this on you if you want, like this, with, or maybe here, like this, so we can hear.
But every bit start at the GRC phone on your phone. There is safety across the board as much as possible. And the way the US does it, most I mean, I'm not so familiar with the UK standards yet, but the way the US does it. I don't think I'm close. There was a song there. I just forgot to be sorry. So sorry.
You need to unshare. I can't share. Okay, you have a started one. All right.
So yeah.
So I'm an hour away, but I don't know if I want to, so I'm just trying to scope out everybody.
Do you mind being on?
Will you show something, or should I? I mean, until event, do I have time? Now around an hour, right? And look, time yes.
Well, please take your seats.
Okay, everyone, welcome to the second talk. I've been trying to get Timo to come to London to present for a long time because he's not based in the UK, he's based in Germany. But before AI was a big thing, we had another very big thing. That big thing was called DevSecOps and cloud. And how do you do DevSecOps in the cloud? No one remembers this, right? It's very important to do DevSecOps, especially now with Agentic AI, right? And obviously, apart from DevSecOps, we also have another OWASP SAMM called SAMM, or Software Assurance Maturity Model. And Timo is the project leader of another very famous and very important project, which is DevSecOps Maturity Model. How do you do DevSecOps in your organization? I'm very pleased that Timo actually is here in the UK for a wedding. So I managed to grab him and say, can you please come and finally present the topic of OWASP London? So let's all welcome Timo.
Thanks a lot. There is an echo here. Perfect, thank you. Maybe it's coming from me. 1 second. I need to also play sound. All right. Yeah. The DevSecOps maturity model was initially my master's thesis. That is already 10 years ago. And as Sam said, this talk is about the software assurance maturity model and the DevSecOps maturity model. I created this talk together with Aram. He's a core member of SAMM, but he didn't make it today. So that's why I will present both parts, SAMM and DSOMM. So let's start with a quick warm-up. What is the state of application security today? Do you think it's better than 10 years ago? If yes, you should raise your hand. Who thinks it's same as 10 years ago? Okay, so a couple of hands. And who thinks nowadays it's worse than 10 years ago? Oh, a lot of hands are going up. Worse, all right. Yeah, it's debatable, right? And there's obviously no answer. And nowadays we also have things like AI coming up. So what is helping us in general? Technologies, tools, or AI? In this picture, you see that the management for this soccer teams bought very fancy shoes, but shoes alone are not helping, right? So if you buy a lot of more tools in your company, that alone is not helping. You need also processes around. We have a lot of different security standards. You see a couple of them here. For example, NIST from the US, or 10 years ago, Microsoft SDL was a big thing. You have DSOMM and SAMM, which are both based on OpenSAMM, and you have the DevSecOps maturity model, different initiatives. Today we will focus on SAMM and DSOMM. In the middle here, you see that there is the SDLC. It's about practices, how you do, how you integrate security in your development lifecycle. Then in the broader view is application security, where you also have some application-related guidelines. Then comes cyber security and even bigger frame, and then information security, where you also have things which are not related to IT, so general security focused. And for all of these, we have different standards. So this is a 3D model. So you see, for example, up here you have the NIST cybersecurity framework, and OWASP SAMM, for example, focuses on a lot of the parts of application security. And DSOMM, on the other hand, goes here a bit deeper. So as more you go down, as more concrete it becomes. In DSOMM, I try to make it a tiny bit above technology, but only a tiny bit. While SAMM is it's very abstract, not as abstract as other frameworks, but it's very abstract. We will talk about DSOMM and SAMM, and the target in general of maturity models is to analyze current software security practices, build a security program, and implement improvements. So that's a very generic definition. So what we will, in the next minutes, will understand is the differences between SAMM and DSOMM, the comparison of key features, scoring, versioning, and how flexible are both these models, and how you can actually implement them in your organization. And maybe you come to a conclusion which model is better for you. So let us start with the software assurance maturity model. The software assurance maturity model brings you measurable results. So you can define, it defines maturity levels across different business functions. You get a clear pathway to improve afterwards. And as we have seen on the slides beforehand, it's very abstract. Oh, and an important point, it's organization agnostic, and also it doesn't require, for example, that you do DevSecOps. Here you see how it is structured. You have a business function. You have actually multiple different business functions. Then you have a security practice in it. You have stream A and B, but it doesn't mean that you have to do B before A. That's independent from it. That's just two categories, I would say. And then you have in each stream 3 maturity levels. So while the first one, 2 ones, are mostly adding different things, the third one is mainly, mostly, it's about how you can enhance the process. Here you see that we have the governance, business function, design, implementation, verification, and operations. And in each of them, we have 3 different practices. And then in each practice, stream A and stream B. As I said, you have 3 levels. This is an example from the governance, where you have education and guidance, and then you have the stream training and awareness, and the stream culture and organization. And you have the 3 levels: ad hoc provisioning, effectiveness and efficiency, and comprehensive mastery. When you do an assessment, you can, for example, do that with the Excel sheet, which is provided, and then you have multiple answers. So you can say no to the different quality criteria, which are here. You can say yes, some of them. You can say yes, at least half of them, and you can say yes, most of them. That are the different answer options you have. And based on the answer, you get a different scoring. The scoring is from 0 to 1. And if you answer no, you get 0 points. If you say some or a few, you get 0.25. If you say at least half, you get 0.5. And if you say, yes, I have most or all of the answers, then you can score yourself with 1. And that for each practice. When you then have results in the end, after you went through the whole Excel sheets, which will take some time, and then you can use the results. You get different graphics, which you can show. Here you can also show to your management how your security posture enhanced over time. And you can also use this very nicely to negotiate about budgets. So if you did an assessment and it doesn't show the results you would like to have, then you can propose that to your management and ask for budget to enhance it. Yeah, now we have a basic understanding of SAMM, and now we will come to DSOMM, the DevSecOps maturity model. Originally, I was implementing security in DevOps strategies, and from my point of view, we have 2 options when we do DevSecOps. One is that we can that we can add security to the DevOps strategy, so we can harden the systems, Kubernetes clusters, we can harden our containers, and so on. And then the DevOps strategies 10 years ago, they brought a new thing. People were testing automatically in pipelines, and that means as security people, we could easily, and we can nowadays easily integrate more security testing, like we can add DAST scanners to the pipeline, we can add dynamic application security testing to the pipeline. It's parts of it to the pipeline, so that that was a very cool thing 10 years ago. I hope normally most application teams will do that. And then the big question always is what to do first and what to do later. Yeah, and that is why we have DSOMM. Also, you see here a big difference. So, or the first difference between SAMM and DSOMM. SAMM is mainly made for security people to talk with the management. That's what it's designed. So you cannot hand over the Excel sheet from SAMM and ask your developers to fill it out. They will fail, and they will fail to understand the results afterwards. So that's the difference here is DSOMM. That is written for developers and operations people so they understand what to do. So they could perform an assessment, but they, in the best case, have a guidance. So it's not good to hand over checklist. But if you do it a bit interactive in a workshop, for example, they will be easily fill out most of the questions. And operations people, it's the same, and you can also make a plan and ask your developers to adapt. So that is a big difference. We have DevOps dimensions in DSOMM. We have sub-dimensions, and then we have 5 maturity levels. The dimensions are built at deployment, culture and organization, information gathering, implementation, and test and verification. Here you see a sample of the application. So while SAMM is mainly a documentation, DSOMM is on one hand the model data that is served as YAML files, and then you also have an application where you can browse, where you can ask people to fill out an assessment. This is a smart sample very filtered for inventory, so you only get asset inventory related activities. So as an example, inventory of production components, that means you might have in your internal wiki a list of all the applications in the company. On level 2, it's an inventory of production artifacts. So that goes a bit deeper. For example, container images. So you have an inventory of the container images, so different services, mostly in the DevOps world. And on the next level, you also know what's running inside of these containers or services. So you have an SBOM and upload it to a central inventory. All right. So I often get the requirement, let us do SBOM, and that is nothing for me. What should I do with an SBOM? I need an inventory. In the worst case, I just have an FTP server I upload the SBOMs to, but I need a centralized inventory. That is for me the requirement, not SBOM. All right. Let us come back. So we saw how we can use SAMM results. Now we talk about how we can handle DSOMM results. So in DSOMM, you get a spider web diagram. That is a big difference to SAMM results. In SAMM, you get a standard spider web diagram. So you do not see if you do too much on level 1, and or if you do too less on level 1 or too much on level 3. While in DSOMM, you And you have here a heat map also. You can figure out if you're doing it in the right way, or if you have maybe too much green on the outside. That would mean that there's something wrong in your priorities, at least from a security point of view. There might be other reasons why you are doing things on the outer levels, but it's not security related, or the reason is not security. Yeah, and also another difference you might see here is that we have gray spots. So why do we have gray spots? That is, if there is no activity for that cell, for that dimension and the maturity level, then it's gray. You will not find something like that in SAMM, because SAMM is made for management, so it's very, very structured so that they can easily adapt. Here, it's also structured, but the key point is that you have activities which are valuable on that level, and if there is nothing documented so far, then it's a gray cell. Here we see the view how the different activities are interacting. We're here level 1 to 4. In this example, there are 5 levels in DSOMM, but this is just for you to understand. One which has a lot of dependencies, an activity with a lot of dependencies is defined build, and it's a defined build process. In the best case, you have that in code nowadays in DevOps. So a Jenkins file, for example, or GitHub's actions. And then based on that, there are other activities. Mainly, the activity is rated with the usefulness for security and how easy it is to implement. But if you have dependencies like that, for example, here the test of server-side components with known vulnerabilities, that depends on the defined build process, so it needs to be on level 2. Now we will come to a comparison of the key features. So I first go through the SAMM part, and then I will go through the DSOMM part. So in SAMM, you have the ability to measure and approve the maturity of your organization's AppSec program. You have broad application security focus. You have broad stakeholder base, but as I said, only in the management. And it defines the what. That's an important part here, define the what. And then we come to DSOMM. It measures especially for DevOps practices, and very specific to DevOps. It's primarily technical stakeholders, but I have to say it also works with upper management. It's not like it wouldn't work. I think SAMM works a tiny bit different, a tiny bit better if you talk with your chief finance officer, for example. But it's all might also be extra work to if you want to implement SAMM and DSOMM together. So you need to think, is it worth it to have both, or you want just one of them? And DSOMM defines the what and how you reach it. There's a big difference, right? It defines how you can reach it, and there's also a mapping. So you could do a DSOMM assessment and then translate the results that you also get most of the parts of the SAMM assessment. That is, from my point of view, only something for larger organizations. I wouldn't do that in small companies because then it's a bit too much work. But in large companies, that is something I would definitely recommend. In SAMM, you have fixed versions. You have infrequent updates. If you make a succession, it might take a lot of time until that succession gets implemented. But it's in industry benchmarks are, for example, available. And if there would be too much change, that would be very hard to have industry benchmarks. You have a good guidance, and you have a relative steep learning curve. In DSOMM, it's very flexible, so activities are often added. Also, dimensions or subdimensions are more frequently added. Currently, I would expect that there will be an AI update soon. You don't have a scoring, but it would be very easy to implement, like in SAMM. So that's, if you want a scoring, you just count the activities in different levels, and then you can make your scoring very easily. Yeah, and I said already, it's very easy to understand for DevOps. So how do you actually use SAMM and DSOMM? The good thing is they both have the same path, so you can apply what I say now to DSOMM or to SAMM. There are some differences which I've highlighted, but mainly they are the same. What is the assessment scope? Or maybe I quickly guide you through the process, which we will take a look at in a minute. So we start with the preparation, then we do the assessment itself, we set the target, we define the plan, we implement what we have planned, and then we roll out. And now I will give you my knowledge of how to, or share my knowledge of how we can reach the different steps. So you need to define the scope of your assessment. We have here a picture where you see the organization on the top. You have different business units, and you have a team and product A and B, for example. So DSOMM is very focused on the application, but not only on the application. It's also it is some activity focused on the team. For example, trainings, which you want to do, you do for a team. Or if you want to have a security champion, you will have that champion in the team. And that team might have multiple products. And SAMM is mainly focused on the business units, so you can make a broader scope for the assessment. SAMM is very in the assessment scope, it's very flexible, while in DSOMM, as I said, it's mainly the team or the product or the application. You have different stakeholders which you want to interview, and in assessment in SAMM covers all 90 activities, while in DSOMM you focus on the team, product, application, or the stakeholders are mainly technical people, and the assessment criteria is different. While you would never, from my point of view, adjust SAMM, DSOMM I would recommend to adjust also for the assessment, so that an organization implements level 4 and 5. Most of the activities are never reached. So I would directly only select the level 1, 2, maybe some activities from 3, which might be covered in that organization. In addition, if you do a DSOMM assessment, I recommend to first see what different not component, it's different parts in the organization you want to interview, and you should start with the supporting peripheral systems, like tools in a platform, like logging, like the platform itself, like version control system, cloud environment, and private registry. I have here an example with TLS. So if you say, hey, all these components or peripheral systems, they all have TLS. And then the application itself is also reachable with TLS, but the tools in the logging platform, they are not using TLS. Then you have to come to the conclusion that one option is that you come to the conclusion for that application, TLS is not implemented. Also, if you do it like this, if you first ask the peripheral systems, you can save time, because you can ask, do you have in the version control system platform the denial of a force push. So if there is force push not allowed in the version control platform, you just need to ask which version control platform do you use. And if you know already that it denies force pushing, you don't need to ask more things. I mean, obviously, you can ask more activities beforehand for the version control platform. So you like that, you save a lot of time. It's only difficult if there are no controls and no activities enforced by the version control platform, because then you will have to ask the team again. All right. Okay, let us come to the next steps, the evaluation of current practices. This is about how you assess, and in the interviews you perform in SAMM, it's more is based on the experience of the assessor. It's 3-style conversations. The output are scores and observations and recommendations. Yeah, and then in the end you have a draft and final version of your report. In DSOMM, it's also assessor based, but we also, what I would recommend is also that you maybe automate some things. And also if you do a workshop that you ask for specific evidence, for example, show your Jenkins file or your GitHub actions and make a screenshot of one run of it. So then you have the evidence for your auditor already present, right? The ISO auditor, for example, or the ISMS auditor. In DSOMM, you have not implemented and implemented for the scoring. You might add a scoring like planned. But that is more to motivate, more for the motivation, for the cultural part. Initially that wasn't there. Now you find planned in the application, but as I said, that is mainly to motivate people that they get some scores because they have something in the backlog. Yeah, and in DSOMM, I would interview each application directly, while in SAMM, you often have a security architect who you or an architect who you interview, and not you don't interview each application mostly, or I wouldn't do that. Yeah, then we come to the planning phase. What are the targets? The roadmap. In SAMM, you define it, the roadmap based on the risk. You select specific activities for improvement, and then I think this is the main key point here of the slide. What do you plan? You plan around 0.5 points for a year. That's all. In DSOMM, yeah, you can define the long-term vision. From my experience is that you never reach that. Then you can communicate the target vision. And what you actually reach is 1 to 2 activities per year. It depends a bit on the activities, because some activities are easy to implement, like, for example, Git secret scanning. That is not so hard, while to implement software composition analysis until it really works is really hard and takes around half a year to a year. So it depends on the activity, but in general, I would plan 1 or 2 activities after you did the assessment for the next step, and that will take quite some time very often. So that's my experience. Don't plan for the next 3 years. It will fail anyway. All right. I think we talked about that. Oh, that's very important. As I explained, SAMM comes as it is. You don't adjust it. While DSOMM, you don't only adjust for the assessment, you also adjust it, from my point of view, for the plan. So you make your own application security program with DSOMM or based on DSOMM. So you set on level 1, you put all the activities which are mostly implemented already. So you do, that is something I saw often, and which is a problem that often security teams put on level 1 too many activities which are not reached. So that is very demotivating for the teams. So the target on level 1 is to motivate the teams, and the average should be mostly is implemented, and then there will be some teams which might not have all activities on level 1, and they get encouraged to reach level 1 at least. And on level 2, on level 3, for example, there you add activities based on your based on the risk profile or the protection requirement of that applications. So there you can demand that they actually do a bit more than what is there already. Yeah, and then comes the implementation of the different activities. As I said, don't get discouraged. It will take some time until all applications will implement it. And the task is mainly that teams are enhancing their maturity, not that security is enhancing their maturity. Some activities, like, as I said, software composition analysis, that is something where you need to help, where the security team might be in charge to do something. But when it comes, for example, to TLS, that is something the teams have to do. The only thing security can do is guide with which algorithm should be used, where do you find which algorithms are good or bad. But I wouldn't say that is a task of the security team. There it's only to measure, not to do it. Yeah, then you roll it out and measure effectiveness. How effective is your application security program? Yeah, and this is the last slide. The final slide. So SAMM and DSOMM is a match, I would say. In large organization, you can use both. In smaller organization, I would choose. As I'm from DSOMM, I would choose DSOMM for smaller organizations, but that is up to you. Yeah, and the summary is SAMM is technology and methodology adjusting. DSOMM is more specific to DevOps practices. SAMM defines the what, and DSOMM defines the what and how you're implementing it. And SAMM has the scoring and the benchmarking, while in DSOMM it's easy to tailor for your own needs. You also have other standards like the ASVS. That is not the AI standard we just saw beforehand. This application security verification standard. A lot of things are in DSOMM and ASVS, but some application-specific things are only in the ASVS. So each standard has its place. Thank you.
We had one question online, which I think we have already answered, because that question was about the question was about what scale of organizations are SAMM and DSOMM each aimed at?
Yeah, it's hard to say numbers.
Scale of, yeah, hard to say numbers.
Maybe when you have around more than 100 or 200 developers, then you might use both. And beforehand, I would choose one.
So you have to choose. So if you have like a small startup, 5 people.
You don't have to choose. That is my recommendation. Yeah. I'm a consultant, right? It depends.
One is SAMM is really good for what, DSOMM is what and how. Where is the why? But how do you do things like impact analysis? When do I say you do this?
Ah,
how much
okay,
time do I
yeah.
spend?
That is, I think, better explained in DSOMM. So the why, I didn't mention that, but good that you asked. This is the application. Can you read it in the back? Yeah, okay. So you see here different activities, and the why is kind of the risk, right? So there's always a couple of sentences about why you have to do that. And I mean, here you see how there's a DSOMM. First comes the risk, then the measure, and also that is not always there, but sometimes we have also assessment. What do you have to show if you do as a team?
Yeah. Right at the end, said something that always a point of friction between development team and security. You said job of the security team is to measure, and it's the job of the developers to actually put in the fix.
Yeah, I said a bit more. It was, but come, let us first hear your question.
And in my role, this is the daily struggle between the security team and the development, where the development team doesn't feel that they are adequately knowledgeable to fix the problem. The security team, like, no, that's not our job. We don't do how to do it. And I suppose that's where DevSecOps comes from. They were talking about dev team and security team. So, is there a need, or is there a way that you want to not just say that, hey, this is problem, this is fixed, this is the patch, but actually help the need for the patient.
Yeah, good that you asked that, so I can clarify a bit more. What I want is that my teams can use predefined components which are hardened already. So for example, what I mostly do in organizations is they use an Nginx, and if they are using 20 different Nginx images, I try to make sure that they are only using one image which got evaluated, and which is also hardened in a way which I think is correct. So that is the help which needs to be provided. Afterwards, the usage, that is up to the teams, right? But that is something I would say their security can help. Hardened standard components, for example, adding headers to the Nginx, which should be used in that organization. That makes it very easy to adopt. And then if a team is still using, after half a year, their own Nginx image without hardening, then you can just scan the headers and tell them, here is a better image for you, which brings all these headers already. That is a kind of help which is needed. Or, for example, software composition analyzers, as I said, that is something which needs to be provided centrally, maybe from the security team, or with a lot of guidance from the security team, needs to be set up. But the usage is then again, the developers need to use it. But that's, I think, software composition analysis is easy to enforce, while to enforce the use an specific hardened image, for example, is maybe, it's not as easy sometimes. Are you happy with the answer?
I'm fine with the answer. I just want my developers and security team to be happy with that answer.
All right. Give me feedback.
Now we have another online question. And the online question is, how does DSOMM interact with DORA?
With DORA.
You, DORA.
I think that a lot of requirements from DORA are in DSOMM. there are a lot of mappings already, as you can see, but we are not having a DORA mapping so far. So if you feel like, you can add a DORA mapping, but I think DORA is so specific that I'm not sure if it's worth it to do that.
But there are lots of activities defined in DORA which do the second activities in SFO.
Yes, I think if
similar questions, are you doing this activity? Show us the evidence.
Yes, I think you can take a look at DORA, and then you can look in DSOMM how you can do it in the right way. Maybe that's because it doesn't define it so specifically as you will find it in DSOMM.
Just those specifically talk about the DORA, right? Definitely, DORA plays a very key role. The third chapter specifically on the to identify and to strengthen the application. Very wonderful, right? But my question is, there are so many customers or people that I see in the industry where the applications are out there. They are not as implemented, right? So we see some applications for 5 years, 10 years, they're just using the same application without updating or showing any showing any action in upgrading the system or security activity that needs to be done. And that's your tool that you have in place. Has any kind of activity that automizes these efforts and enforces as ASPS that you were referring to, what does that do? And does that play any role in automizing the application?
So we have a patch management dimension here. And the first thing which you see here on level 1 is that you need a patch policy defined. So that means your team should define it. How do we want to do patching? Do we do it every Monday, once in a month, whatever? And then DSOMM is not a tool itself, right? Mainly it's a model, and the model is suggesting that you use automated pull requests for patches on level 1. That is what you see here. And if you ask for a specific tool to reach that, or which can help to reach it, Dependabot or Innovate are the tools which can help there. And you see also as an alternative, just to mention that, so you get some more insights. You are also you have no, do I find that activity now? Server. Yeah, you have, no, that is not the one, consolidation. You somewhere have software composition analysis. I don't find that right now, but you have software composition analysis. That is on level 2, because if you do software composition analysis, what's the outcome? What is it? What you need to do afterwards? It's patch management. So that's why I would recommend to first start with tools like Dependabot or Innovate to automate the pull request. That doesn't mean that it gets patched, right? It just means it helps developers. And then after you have that, because that is also very easy to implement. There we are not talking about a half a year or year to implement it. It's very easy to implement. Then afterwards, you can implement software composition analysis to comply with DORA.
Obviously, this applies to the applications which you own the source code.
Ah, yeah, that's great.
Not the third party. Richard,
Not sure. That depends, because you can use Innovate to automate pull requests for the images you're using, the third-party images.
Question about a different DORA. So there's a DevOps, Velocity, metric metering one. Google quite like to come up with papers about it. Certainly in DevOps circles, there's an interest in like aligning with that. It's essentially about like how fast can we ship, how reliably can we ship. Is there a mapping, between that and this, or are there linked objectives?
So the metrics.
Or like shipping metrics. It feels like if you're able to go, you're trying to reach this target, right? Like you're trying to, reduce the risk of delivery, which is DORA metric 4568. That maps onto something here. So you're able to get the security objectives that you're wanting, but they're able to get the business objectives that they're wanting. Does that mapping already exist, or?
There is no direct mapping, but you will find most of them in information gathering here. And I also do see your point. I know a company which has these metrics and also software composition analysis metrics and patching metrics. And as more often you deploy, you more often patch normally, yeah.
So a question about AI, someone was asking, in the world of AI, how do you see application of SAMM and DSOMM?
I think that most of the things on a higher level are implemented in both already, but I also see that people want to have an extra AI dimension in both.
Okay, no more questions. Let's thank Timo. Wonderful. We're going to move on to the next phase of our meetup, which is going to be an exciting one. That's where you're going to see who's going to win the prizes. To remind you that the QR codes were all over the